Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Think Big Bodybuilding Media. I'm Scott McNally, and today we are back on the road to North Americans, and this time we are with super heavyweight Ty Jordan. The whole purpose of this program is to bring attention to some of the athletes that will be competing at the NPC North Americans, vying for their pro cards September 2nd through the 5th out in Pittsburgh. If you guys enjoy our content, if you're enjoying this programming, then please do me a favor, hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, because we have several new podcasts coming out each week. All right, guys, up next we have with us Ty Jordan, super heavyweight, I assume, right?
That's right.
All right. Now, so Ty, I haven't known a lot about your career here yet, so this will give me an opportunity, just as everyone else who's watching us, to get to know you too. So I'm really excited for this. Let's start out. Just give me some basics. What are you weighing right now? How tall are you? And what's your competitive history as far as national level shows go?
Yeah, so right now, at the end of the low day stretch that Boston has me on, I come down to about 245, 246. After he fills me out, I come up to about 254, 255.
Okay.
I've talked to him. Weight's not really important to us. It's really all about the look that we bring. But we feel like we're going to be on stage at the low 240s. I realize I'm a taller guy, but, when you have shape and you have lines, you don't necessarily have to be as heavy as everybody else. So I think we have that in our corner.
Okay.
Competition history goes, I started competing in the NPC in 2016. My first foray into bodybuilding was actually 2013. I did a natural show, just wanted to see if bodybuilding was for me. I figured if I could get through the process doing it naturally, it should be pretty easy the rest of the way we do it here in the big leagues. But before bodybuilding, I just want to make sure a lot of people know I have a background in another sport that I was actually pretty successful in. So before bodybuilding, I was a competitive strongman. So
oh, no kidding.
You betcha. So back at that time, there was one sole governing body that ran strongman here in the States. It was North American Strongman.
Yeah.
In 2009, I actually won the 2009 Teenage Heavyweight National Championship. So I kind of came with the cool moniker of America's Strongest Teen. Anybody that saw the Kevin Nee real life strongman documentary that MTV did like way back in the early 2000s, that was kind of a big inspiration for me. I saw that and I said I want to do that. So I tried in 2008, kind of a fish out of water. Had only done a couple of shows, didn't really know what I was doing. Went up to Chicago and placed 8th out of 16. Had a really embarrassing story with that on the final event. It was an Atlas stone load, and I sharded.
Oh.
So I went home to Chicago, sore loser with little shit in my pants, and I was real hungry. So I came back in 2009. The show was in Lowell, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston.
Yeah.
I won that championship pretty much as outright as you could. There were 6 events. I won 5. I took second in one event I didn't win. It was a hell of an experience. Got a chance to meet one of my idols there, Derek Poundstone.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he's cool.
And it's kind of interesting that I find myself preparing for the pro qualifier here in North Americans in a few weeks because, about 10, 11 years ago, I found myself doing the same thing as a teenager. I went on from the Teenage National Championship and went on to the men's nationals, and similar to bodybuilding, you've got to take first place to get that pro card. So
yeah.
I took 5th in my first outing, and after a couple events, I actually was in first place. So I was on track to be an ASC professional strongman. Unfortunately, the injury bug hit me pretty hard over the next subsequent years, and I took a couple of extra stabs at the nationals and found my place and just dropping back a little bit further and further, and just felt like I wasn't able to put the time in to making the progressions in strength that other guys were making just due to the injury bug. So kind of made a lateral move into bodybuilding, and it suited me pretty well at this point.
All right. Well, I got you. So you brought it up. I got to have some fun with this now.
Right,
how many pounds? Let me ask you this. Wait, how do I word this? How many pounds does an Atlas stone have to be in order for Ty Jordan to shit his pants?
Embarrassingly, this one was only 330.
It's pretty big.
Atlas stones as heavy as 425, but like I mentioned, I think it was just like my first or second show. I'd only messed around with the implements maybe 3 or 4 times. So I kind of went up there with a lot of, bravado, just thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be a piece of cake, just a bunch of teenagers. And, I was very, very humbled very quickly. There's a couple guys that I competed with there that, have gone on to do some really, really special things in powerlifting, strongman, and the like. So there was some great guys that I competed with back then.
All right, right on, man, right on. So, back to bodybuilding then. Did you say Boston? Are you working with Boston Lloyd?
With Boston Lloyd.
Oh, so, no kidding. Right on.
So Boston and I hooked up last year after Junior USA's, and interestingly, my coach prior to that was your last interview subject, Nate Spear.
Oh, right on.
Nate was a great friend of mine, still is to this day, and was a great coach for me. And very appreciative for everything Nate did for me. And my physique made a lot of progress under Nate's guidance. But ultimately, we just weren't able to really bring it in right and really get the physique to click when it mattered the most. And I think Nate will also back me up in saying that the effort was there and the work was there on both of our parts, but we just weren't able to dial up the right formula to really bring out the highlights of my physique. And we always found ourselves doing 2 hours of cardio and 0 carbs, and the look just never came together right. Never got the fat off of all the tough spots like the glutes, even though, if you look at my photos, my hamstrings are always peeled like 6 weeks out. So, it wasn't for a lack of effort. I just think we needed a different approach. And, after a couple of runs in 2019, Nate and I collectively just decided, it's time for me to do something different. And, it's a tough thing in this industry trying to decide who you're going to work with as a coach.
Yeah.
You can kind of go one route that I've gone a couple of times with people that aren't necessarily coaches or individuals that are less experienced that maybe have more time and dedication to offer you, but none of the expertise that really matters in those crucial final 2 to 3 weeks. And then I've also been on the wrong end of hiring a really big name coach and just unfortunately just not getting any service that I paid for. I worked with Milos Sarcev in 2018, and that was an unfortunate experience for me in that, I kicked in a year's worth of finances, and I got a program sent to me that was basically 16 weeks outright, and he didn't really offer a whole lot of troubleshooting or revisions or really show a whole lot of interest in analyzing my physique along the way. So,
all right, well, I don't want to turn this into like who's a good coach, who's not a good coach, because I don't want to go down that route. So let's just focus on where you're at today. I got to tell you, man, I'm looking at your pictures. Hamstring drop is ridiculous. Have legs always been a strong body part for you?
Sorry, 1 second. Can you still hear me?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you bet, man. Legs have always been. And hey, I want to apologize about that. I just wanted to make sure everybody understood my, history with different coaches and how I got to where I am now.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, you bet. Legs have always been a dominant body part for me. I joke with a lot of people that my legs kind of grow just from looking at the squat rack, but a lot of that does have to do with my experience in strongman. And biomechanically, I'm just kind of dispositioned towards pulling weight. So, by the time I was 19 years old, I was already deadlifting 700 pounds, and with the 700 comes pretty strong hamstrings, erectors, low back, and stuff. So, kind of got a head start there.
Okay, right on, man. Yeah. So I take it strength was something. Were you always like strong since you were a kid? I take it because usually here's what I found is, people that are good at sports gravitate towards doing sports. People who tend to be strong, it's usually guys like that. It's usually not like the weakest guy out of the high school that decides they're going to become a strong man. At least not in my experience.
Well, I guess it's like a little bit of both for me. So like I said, I found I was very good at pulling weight from a young age. I pulled 500 by the time I was like 15. Pulled the 700 by the time I was 19.
Yeah.
Everything else, to be totally honest, I'm pretty pedestrian at, and I really just had to work at it. And I kind of found strength athletics as kind of a backhanded way.
Yeah.
I loved bodybuilding from a very young age. I still remember, my mom was a single mother, and she took my sister and I everywhere, on the weekends for errands. And, I always found myself at the magazine stand on the floor just flipping through, muscular development, flex, just all the muscle mags. And I wanted to do it from a really young age, but I remember I came across an article on bodybuilding.com think when I was like 14 years old, it basically said what good bodybuilding genetics were. And after reading it, I was like, shit, I don't really have any of that. Because you don't really know what your muscular shape is when you're 14 or 15, but I did know that structurally I didn't have super wide clavicles. It was pretty easy to tell that I didn't have the narrowest hips. And the article kind of said, well, hey, there's an outlet for you guys. You can do strength sports. So pretty much read that article and jumped right into strength athletics for the next 5 years.
Okay, right on, man.
It wasn't until kind of the end of the strength athletics run when kind of a lot of the guys in the sport were calling me the pretty guy for having some natural shape that kind of developed over the years of lifting. Some round shoulders, some good arms, some decent abs and stuff that most of the other competitors weren't really sporting. And that kind of made me think like maybe there's something there for bodybuilding that I kind of missed a few years back.
Right on, man. Yeah, that's cool. So, overall, what is Boston Haver Nutrition looking like right now?
Interestingly, we haven't really tweaked the nutrition in several weeks. So, we originally set out this year to come after junior nationals in Chicago, and assuming we had a good result there, we wanted to look at one of the pro qualifiers. Obviously, junior nationals and a lot of subsequent shows went out the window with COVID.
Yeah.
We'd gotten in shape pretty much. I mean, not in shape, but within striking distance by May.
Okay.
And then it kind of slowed down. So we really kind of put my nutrition on hold. Snuck a couple extra high days in there, cheat day every Sunday, cheat meal, I should say. But right now we're on a cycle of 4 low days, 2 zero carb days, and then just 1 high day.
Okay.
Typically carbs around 85, 90 grams. Fats are relatively high. In about 4 of the meals, I get about 20 grams of fat, so that holds me pretty well. And then on the high day, we just recently brought the number up to about 500 grams of carbs, but I was doing just fine when it was at 350, and I hear some of these numbers that some of these guys are eating, and it sounds really cool, but at the same time, I feel like it might even be like a blessing for me in that I don't need to feed the tank like every 2 hours potentially, or like my look disappears. Obviously with body parts that have come on a little bit later in the process, like my pecs and my back, those have the tendency to flatten out a little bit, but my shoulders, my arms, my legs, those don't really go anywhere, and it doesn't take a lot of food to really bring everything to life. So I think it's a good thing.
Right on. And where were you weight-wise in the off-season?
We really pushed it, man. We got after it right after Junior Nationals, Junior USA's last May.
Yeah.
And we pushed it all the way up to, I believe, 297 was my peak morning weight.
Okay.
I did see 3 bills a couple of nights, so I was pretty proud of that. Would have loved to hit the official 300 in the morning, but when it was time to start the diet, it was time to start the diet. But if you scroll back through my pictures, and I can even send you a couple too when I hit that weight, it wasn't a terrible look. I hold fat pretty proportionately, so I don't just blow out like one particular area.
Yeah, I feel like in a way that's kind of that's a genetic thing in itself, how you hold body fat. The guys that have the best time with dieting are the ones that hold it more or less evenly. And you said you're a taller guy, right? How tall are you?
6 foot flat. Yeah.
6 foot even. Okay, right on. Overall, it sounds like you've had a pretty good diet here. Like it's been pretty successful so far. You haven't had to really struggle too much. Carbs aren't crazy high, but carbs aren't super low either. What's been the hard part of this for you? Like what makes this what's been the challenges for you here with this?
I would say up to this point, we haven't run into too many challenges, and ultimately that's why I am so confident headed into the final stretch of North Americans. I realize I'm not in contest-ready condition, but I can say that in past experiences, it took a hell of a lot more in terms of both suffering with the diet, the cardio, and the supplementation implementation to get to this point.
Yeah.
And ultimately feel like my look would typically fall apart once we try to push beyond that, and that's why I have failed to bring my full potential to the stage. But we got here doing almost no cardio.
No kidding.
Just a drop of thyroid, just to keep everything running smooth. No real fat burners or stims, and everything just got started about a week ago at just a snail's pace. So
okay.
Got a tools left in the tool shed, and I trust Boston fully to implement them right when we need to. And again, I'm a bigger guy, so, we're trying to land the jet properly. We're not trying to show off on Instagram, and be ready 6 weeks out. That's not a strategy for a 6-foot bodybuilder to succeed. So,
Yeah. And that's where we are right now, just to be clear with everyone, is about 6 weeks now. So I believe this will be coming out the following week. How did you deal with, all the shutdowns and the COVID and all that stuff earlier in the year?
Honestly, for my fiance and I, it really was a blessing for us. My fiance, Ariana Garcia, she's actually 6 weeks out of Junior USA's. She's placed top 5 in a couple of pro qualifiers in the bikini class. So, we're both on track to try to get the pro cards this year. And again, this has been a huge blessing for us. Kansas City, surprisingly, is a pretty good bodybuilding scene. There's 3 or 4 really good bodybuilding gyms in town.
Nice.
Luckily, being close with a couple of people here in the local scene, I was able to get into a gym, like a lot of other dedicated competitors across the country. And, I was able to continue to train with top-notch equipment at the right time of day to my liking, pretty much without a hitch. So, and again, with a lot of the shows being put off during that time, I think my physique was actually really able to make a lot of progress in that my weight didn't really change a whole lot, but the look really, really morphed. And, we were almost able to treat it kind of like a mini off season. So to be able to do that in a lean state, I think it set me up to, again, really come into this show thriving.
That's cool. Yeah, tell me a little bit more about Kansas City and the bodybuilding there. I mean, obviously, you aren't seeing as many people as you maybe would have on a normal year, but who's out there? Like, what bodybuilders would we know that are in the area?
It's kind of a big little city. It's booming. There's a lot of growth and development. Obviously, we've got a couple of world championships between the Royals and the Chiefs in the last few years, but it's also a little city in that everybody kind of knows everybody, and I feel like kind of that way in the bodybuilding scene. But luckily for me, I mentioned there's a couple of gyms that kind of cater to the bodybuilders. Jason May, I want to highlight this individual, good friend of mine, actually runs a gym called Flex Gym in the North Kansas City area. Jason actually took top 5 at nationals in the super heavyweight class in Miami. And hell of a competitor and a great guy, and he's got an awesome gym, fully loaded with Arsenal strength equipment. So that's kind of my home base right now. Then another top competitor, I think he's taken top 5 at nationals in the lightweight class sometime within the last 3 or 4 years. His name is Matt Carstetter. He also has a gym in town. It's called the Foundation, and that caters to bodybuilders as well. And then the third gym that I train out of, I like to utilize all the gyms that I can and, kind of pick the right gym for the right body part.
Yeah.
It's Olympic Gym Kansas City. That's been kind of a mainstay in the Kansas City area for about 15 or 20 years. It's had several different names, but it's always been there. It's always been a hardcore place. And I feel really blessed to have the trio gyms to train out of.
Right on. Well, I guess what I mean too is, like, you mentioned a couple of the national level competitors in the area. Are there any pros that you see from time to time? Anybody around that area that really big name athletes?
You got Thomas Linehan. He's a 212 pro. Thomas has kind of been, I think, focusing on his personal life. I think he just had a child.
Right on.
He's working on business and development there. But I hope I'm not missing anybody. I think there's a couple of men's physique pros here. I don't want to get into all that, but
yeah,
I don't think there's any open class or 212s besides Thomas Linehan.
Okay. Yeah, no, the reason I ask is because I've just been trying to feel everybody out to kind of see, what the situation is like, the vibe is around them, the pros that they run into at the gyms. So even if they...
I'm someone who feeds off of being around people that are better than me, and it's been kind of a letdown being at some gyms and, constantly running into people that are impressed by things that, I've been doing for years. It's not the right environment for me. So it was actually when I made the switch over to Jason May's gym, Flex Gym, where, my physique really started to change because, even when Jason's not working out in there, he placed 5th, I believe, 4th or 5th at North Americans last year in the heavyweight class. And then he jumped into the supers in Miami and he took 5th there, and he was huge. So, and he's got photos on the wall from both of those shows. So even if he's not training, that really keeps me honest, because obviously I'm coming for the same thing.
Yeah.
And, it's pretty humbling being here, on this podcast talking about what I'm going to do at a show when, I'm honestly not even the best bodybuilder in my gym right now, but you know, Jason and I have a lot of mutual respect for each other. We train together sometimes, and you know, it's a good environment for me.
Right on, right on. Do you have any training partners? Anybody you work out with, or you train on your own?
You know, my fiance and I, we're in the gym together every day. I'm lucky to have her. You know, she trains just as hard as anybody I know, and you know, we're able to grab content for each other and you know, promote each other pretty well. But aside from her, just kind of being there and you know, watching her put in that work, you know, it's really just me. And you know, I do pretty well on my own. Intrinsic motivation's never been something that's hard to come by for me. You know, I certainly would appreciate having that good training partner for some of those force reps and things like that, because I am a big fan of, you know, progressive overload and intensity principles. And, you know, I'm probably leaving a little bit on the table by not having that person there. But, you know, I'm also a creature of habit. I like to train when I like to train. I like to do things the way I like to do things. And, you know, I find that the older I get, you know, the more particular I am about what works for me. And, you know, I don't really want to try to like force someone to do something that maybe isn't the right course of action for them either, you know?
Right on, man. Right on. So, you know, we're coming into the show 6 weeks out at this point. Mm-hmm. What would be a successful showing for you? What are you thinking? I mean, obviously, you know, everybody who's competing wants to win, you know, but to be realistic though, like what we can't control that. We don't know what the judges are going to go for, and we can't control who's going to show up. So to you, how could you know, walk away from this knowing like, okay, I know that this was a, you know, a good showing. I know I'm on the right track.
Yeah, you know, I realized coming into the show, I'm a relative nobody. I haven't been on the big stage before, and you know, that can be a lot to overcome, so to speak. But you know, I also feel like my physique is going to speak volumes for itself, and you know, I absolutely think first call out is what we're coming for.
Right on.
You know, I think I stacked up very well to these guys. Again, you know, I might not be the heaviest guy on stage for my height, but you know, when you have some shape and some roundness and you have some lines, I think that goes a long way. And so, yeah, we're absolutely coming for a top call out. And, you know, with that, we'll take the feedback that we get and, you know, we'll make a decision on whether one of the next two that come up is a good decision for us. You know, I got a ton of respect for the guys that are having their names thrown around as, you know, potential to win the show. But I'm also not coming to Pittsburgh to just shake hands and to take pictures. You know,
right on.
I didn't stand with them and go shot for shot.
Right on, man. Yeah. It will be exciting to see how you stack up. What do you do for work?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I'm in the middle of being fortunately laid off with the COVID. But up until that point, I was working as an overnight manager of a boutique hotel here in the downtown Kansas City area. So really awesome job that kind of really lined up pretty well with my bodybuilding, in that, you know, I'm able to train during the day, get a little bit of sleep during the day, and my meals work just fine doing them throughout the night. Obviously, a hotel is pretty sleepy during the wee hours, so pretty much just left to myself to catch up on all the good podcasts out there. You know, Dusty and Braun, Drugs and Stuff. You know, I love all your guys' shows. So that's pretty much what I did on the job, is just catch podcasts, soak up information. You know, I also personal train and work with a couple clients. So, you know, that's a good time for me to get some programming done. But right now, just doing a little bit of personal training. Luckily for me, I live in a really nice loft space that has a gym in the basement.
Nice.
So I train people rent-free down there. You know, they don't have to have a membership. I don't have to pay any fees to anybody. So it's very profitable for me. And, you know, I live in a pretty nice part of town where clientele pays pretty well. So
that's perfect. Right. That's perfect. Hey, if you wanted to, you know, promote anything you're doing with your local training and stuff, how would people find you?
Yeah, the best way to reach me is always going to be through Instagram, Ty_Jordan_bodybuilding. Always the best way to get a hold of me. And I'll definitely respond to any messages that I do get.
Right on. Right on. Well, guys, we have Ty Jordan here, super heavyweight, coming into North Americans, and we're 6 weeks out. Thanks a lot, Ty. Appreciate your time, brother.
I appreciate you, man.